Good evening, Racine Raider fans. This is the fifth quarter here on your radio friend, AM 1400, WRJN. I am your host, Evan Witalison, and we are coming here with good news tonight. As opposed to the last time the Lincoln Way Patriots and the Raiders played, we are coming with you on good news as the Racine Raiders defeated the Lincoln Way Patriots 34-26 tonight in the MSFL Conference Championship, the second conference championship in a row for your hometown football team, the Racine Raiders. The Raiders jumped on the Patriots early and hung on to get the victory after their quick start. We are taking your phone calls tonight, and if you want to talk about the Racine Raiders Conference Championship win versus the Lincoln Way Patriots, give us a call at 634-WRJN. Again, that's 634-9756. Going to be discussing this victory, the keys to this Raider win, talk about the some of the key moments of the game that as well. Give my player of the game. The player of the game, I wish I had a highlight for the player of the game, but unfortunately I don't. As Don mentioned during the broadcast, I don't have highlights tonight, but I'm going to announce a play of the game for you guys tonight. And also to go along with football's NFL season kicked off Thursday, but the Sunday games start tomorrow. Packers-Bears kickoff. Would love to hear your predictions on that one. And also love to hear your Super Bowl predictions as well. We do hope to hear from Don Wadowitz at some point during the show. Also from Coach Kennedy. Hopefully we'll hear from him as well. So once again, the Racine Raiders get the win, 34-26, to improve their record to 12-2. And quickly go over the scoring plays in this one. Last time these two teams played, the Patriots got on the board first, and the game early on last time was kind of a back and forth with the Raiders holding a halftime lead, and then giving up the lead on the fourth quarter. We do have a call on the line, so I'm going to let the call in and see what the caller has to say. This is the fifth quarter. Who do I got on the phone today?
Hey, Evan, Tom Christensen here. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Tom?
Well, I tell you, have you ever felt like a tomato in the middle of a club sandwich when the guy puts the top on the bottom together and pushes down?
I can't say that I have, but
Holy mackerel. And I couldn't make the trip down to Rockford tonight because of being in that situation doing a football game last night. But it wasn't a Texas hit. They were all legal hits. The guys that were playing ball were very aggressive and concentrating on them, so I gotta give them kudos for playing hard football. But getting back to that Racine Raider win, I tell you, you can't count out those Lincoln Way Patriots. You can get them down, but as we saw tonight, they can come right back up and take a bite out of you.
Yeah, they definitely can, and the Patriots got down that 21-0 early, and as you said, you can't count them out. They just kept fighting back. But what are your initial thoughts on this Raider win?
The initial thoughts, it goes back to something we've been talking about all year, something that the Raiders have really improved on, and that's eliminating those penalty yards. I mean, for the bulk of the season, the Raiders kept those penalty yards under the century mark. When they won big, those yards were even under the 50-yard mark. When they played lousy, the penalty yards went up. This time it was Lincoln Way that killed themselves with the penalties. I think they had like 100 and something penalties and yardage. And you can't give away an entire football field and yardage to your opposition and expect to win a football game. Like Dan Green said, had you eliminated those penalties, you probably would have had a lot closer game. Not to say that this wasn't close, a nail-biter, but it could have been a different game too.
Yeah, the penalties was 13 for 93 for the Patriots, and if the I'm sure there's a couple that the Raiders probably didn't accept that would have bumped that up a little bit. But you're right, though. The penalties came back to bite them on the butt a little bit, especially the stupid penalties. And, you're going to have the occasional hold, the offside, stuff like that, but the unsportsmanlike conduct, the late hits, those kind of things, it sounds like on the fake punt they have Aaron stopped short of the first down, but they commit I don't know if it was a face mask or a horse collar tackle and tack on 15. The Raiders keep the ball.
Yeah, the face mask, in the NFL, they don't have the incidental face mask like they have in high school. You just put your hands on the face mask, get a grasp and release. You don't even necessarily have to twist and turn like you do in high school. You got 15 yards. In high school, they differentiate between the incidental face mask, which is 5 yards, and the 15-yard nasty. But, that stuff happens in the heat of play. A horse collar, yeah, you really should avoid that. But again, bodies are flying around and your hands just get in the wrong places at the wrong time, and the results end up with a 15-yard penalty. But the other two penalties I classify in the cerebral flatulence kind. Those are the ones that are the encroachments, being offsides, the false starts. Those are not knowing where you're lining up, the miscount, things like that. And then the other category of penalties I classify as the eagle penalties, the unsportsmanlike conduct, not being able to control yourself when you're in a situation. When you have a penalty like that, two guys, getting into it, you're going to get heated. Somebody's going to get a little testy and maybe throw a punch. 90% of the time, it's the second guy throwing the arm that's going to get nailed. So you just got to learn how to control that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you definitely do, and I guess I would say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you've been following the Raiders a lot longer than I have, but it seems like the Raiders have a guy on their team, wide receiver, in Sam D'Elia, who just kind of has the knack for getting the other guy to, push it just a little bit too far. Now, they got the offsetting penalties on today, but
somebody's button? No. No, and it's not that he goes out there and does it on purpose. He's not a hunter for that. He's just a very aggressive football player, very good football player.
Yeah, he definitely is a very good football player. And do you want to, when Mark's been doing the caller alongside Don the past few weeks, he had talked about how the Raiders, they tend to start slow and pick it up in gear in the second quarter, third quarter. To pretty much finish the teams out. But today it was kind of the opposite. They had a pretty big start to the game.
Oh, yeah, and I think that's something that Coach Kennedy, you might find out from him a little bit later on if he calls in. That's what they had to do. They had to establish the pace of the game, and that's exactly what they did. I think the kickoff return by Tyrone Galvin right out of the gate wasn't planned, but, boy, that sure was a bonus, and it really got them pumped up to put 21 points on the board. But again, when you got a team like Lincolnwood that has a talent that they had, you just can't rest on that. You got to play every minute of that game like it's 0-0, or even if you're 6 points behind.
Yeah, I can't really find the words to describe Tyrone Galvin. He just seems to have the knack for making the big play. Very fast.
Fast like a rabbit.
Yeah,
he's an outstanding football player, very humble guy too. He just an all-around great athlete and nice guy.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to get your thought on is, when the game when it mattered most in the game, it was the older faces on the team, your Craig, your J.R. Taylor, and Sammy coming up with big plays to keep drives alive and pretty much close out the game.
Yeah, and that goes back, I think there's two things that are involved with that. Number one is obviously talented experience. Those guys know how to win games. They've been around the block a few times. The other factor into it, their days of playing ball are numbered, and they want to go out doing the best they are, on top. Obviously, Craig's changing his direction in football. He's the head coach at Union Grove, and he's doing quite well there. J.R. Taylor, very possibility that this is the last year we're going to see him in a Raiders helmet. And Sammy, who knows? I guess that all depends on his wife.
Yeah. Hopefully I know Craig's already said it to be his last year, but it would be nice to see them come together one last time. Now the Raiders win the conference championship today, second in a row. I think Don had mentioned the first team in the conference to do it since 2010. Where do the Raiders go from here?
Well, there's talk about getting into a tournament, and we will be discussing that. Both the board of directors, along with Coach Kennedy, talking about that, looking at what tournaments we either A, get invited into, or B, that we'd like to get into. Right now, that's kind of the toss-up.
Yeah, and for the tournaments, that's going to be to determine the national championship, correct?
Correct.
Okay. For you, I guess what are the thoughts? I know you said for the tournaments. When will we find that? Let me back up. When will we find out? I guess tournament-wise, what the Raiders are going to do?
That's hard to say at this point right now, because again, it's weighing the options that come up.
So, Tom, do you want to say thanks for calling in? We do need to take a commercial break here. Again, I want to say thanks for calling in, and hope you're feeling a little bit better tomorrow.
Yeah, no problem, and we'll have a Raider Roundup. I think we're going to have it on Tuesday at 11:30 with Ted Allen. He's going to be on vacation on Friday, so we're going to move it up to Tuesday at 11:30, Raider Roundup, and we'll play back some of those great highlights from the game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that a listen to, so I hope you have a good rest of your night.
Okay, you take it easy, Evan.
Yep, thanks, you too. And that was Tom Christensen. You can hear him Tuesday on your radio friend, AM 1400 WRJN, for the Raider Roundup, which is normally a Friday segment, but as Tom said, with moving it up to Tuesday this week. Great comments by Tom. Do want to say thank you for calling in, Tom. Again, the Raiders got the victory today, 34-26, and I was talking to a couple people today, and I had predicted a 34-28 game, and I was 2 points shy of getting the score completely, exactly correct. But again, we do got to take a break. When we come back, going to go over the scoring plays and hopefully take your phone calls. Give us a call, 262-634-WRJN. That's 634-9756. You're listening to the Fifth Quarter Racine Raider post-game show, brought to you by Lynn Sitko and Racine on Lathrop Avenue and Prosser's Premium RV Outlet in Sturvant. We will be back in 2 minutes. And welcome back to the Fifth Quarter here on your radio friend, AM 1400 WRJN. And it is celebration time for the Racine Raiders as they beat the Lincoln Way Patriots 34-26 in the conference championship game, winning the conference title for the second year in a row. And I believe Don Wadowitz during the broadcast had mentioned that it was the first time since the 2010 season that a team had clinched two conference championships in a row in the Mid-States Football League. And now it's waiting time for the Raiders as they see where they go next. And as Tom mentioned, there are some conference tournaments that could happen for the Raiders to determine the national champion. And do want to say thank you for tuning into the Fifth Quarter post-game show for your hometown football team, the Racine Raiders. And the post-game show is brought to you by Lynn Sitko and Racine and Prosser's Premium RV Outlet out in Sturtevant. And, if I was at Lynn Sitko today before I came into the station, and do got to compliment their service there. The staff there is, whenever I stop in there, they're always extremely nice and polite, and it's a store I love stopping into on Victory Avenue in Racine, and I do recommend that you all do the same. But getting to the scoring plays, the Raiders